Offender at the Eastern Reception and Diagnostic Center.
This call is from a correctional facility and may be monitored and recorded.
To accept this free call, press 1. To refuse this thank you for using security.
Welcome to the Cell Block Hotline. I'm Tom Lane, your source of connection and empowerment. Tonight, we will be talking to Mr. Vincent Cooley about a few things that he just had on his mind. So we're going to start with allowing him to introduce himself. Mr. Cooley?
Well, my name is Vincent Cooley. I'm currently incarcerated in the Missouri Department of Corrections. I'm honored to be here today. I look forward to whatever questions you have, and I hope I can answer them as honestly as possible and serve your viewership with the best of my ability.
You're welcome, and I appreciate you taking the time out to do so. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your situation in the sense of how you got to where you are.
I was incarcerated in 2002 for the 2 counts of first-degree murder of my wife and my brother. Not long before that, I was found not guilty for homicide where I was kidnapped, and I was forced to defend myself to get myself out of the situation. In the course of me catching this case, I've lost contact with friends, family. I spent the majority of my time by myself. I became closer to God. I mean, where there was darkness, there became light in my situation. But I can't really articulate the actual emotions that I carry due to my actions because I've somewhat healed myself from having a constant reminder of the incidents that has been so long. But there's not a day to go past that I don't realize pain that I brought into the world. I apologize to my mother, my family members, my wife's mother. I did all these things, and but people are hurt. People they hurt, and they find their own times when they find a way to forgive. And I never be someone to actually forgive it, but I believe that I did everything in my power to let them know that my actions was not actions of intent, but actions of reflected my sickness at the time.
So, with your experience of being there this long, how can you say that being incarcerated has either helped you or not?
I would say that it's helped me because since I've been incarcerated, I've took every single class they offered when they offer them. I've educated myself. I went to Sneed University. I've done a lot of things that I probably would have never had a chance to do had I would have stayed in the environment before I came to prison. So in that matter, I can say that it's helped me. But I don't never want to take away the credibility in my actions in which I've displayed at that time of my life. But I also realized that my actions was never intentional. So when I came to realization of the effects of my actions, instead of me getting the help I was needing, the Department of Corrections chose to, condemn me instead of fix me or help me be fixed. When it was recognized by them that I was sick versus, a maniac, should be said. But they chose to howl me basically the rest of my life instead of fix me so I can return to society and be productive. Most of my interaction with the law enforcement prior to the situation, petty drug cases, I realized nobody really gets the whole truth when something happens in society that the media wants you to. They want you to tune in. They want you to watch their show. They say things and they use key words that'll make you only feel one way about something. When actually that truth is going to be suppressed. And I feel like it's been a long time, but I've always felt like I wanted my story to be told from a truthful point. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. I did my research on the news article. I had brought it up because I needed a little bit more background on the situation. And I understand what you mean in regards to allowing media and press to tell your story. But you got to also remember when they're telling the story, they're going based off the police report. So other than what you told the police or what they asked you and they wrote down, what is the truth?
Well, the truth is, I'm diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia, and it runs heavily in my family on both sides. But at the time, I had no knowledge of that. I basically stayed medicated off marijuana and a drug called PCP. So, and using these drugs, I never had to deal with my feelings most of my life. At 24 years old is when I got this case. I'm 45 now. 12 years, I smoke marijuana. If I'm using these type of drugs, but I'm also living in an environment where people are sick. People are living impoverished. People are dealing with conditions that they only want to survive in. And that, you find people who sell drugs. You find people robbing people. You find women prostituting themselves. You find all kinds of variations where people have told themselves it's okay for me to do this because I'm the only one who has to live with being me and the life that I have to live with. And when I recognized that, which was I was a young person, when I felt like that, I was raised by a single mother. My father passed away.
Alexa,
but
off.
He was a real stern and aggressive man. He had shortcomings mentally and physically. So he was a real type of guy, and for that reason, he raised a lot of I would say hell in our household. Mm-hmm. So and he being the oldest son, which was my mother and father had 4 children together. I was the oldest child. A lot of responsibility fell on me. And in that responsibility, I had ambitions on my own. Like, I grew up, I played Pop Warner football, and I played high school football in Kansas City, Missouri for Southwest High School. So I had a lot of things I wanted to do for myself, but a lot of the environmental issues prevented me from doing that. I also was a member of a street gang because at that time in my life, at that time in the society, it's dangerous being alone. When you have only yourself to rely on in a world where everybody has cliques and crews and things of that nature, you find yourself making decisions based on what's going to keep you safe. Yeah, if you're fortunate, you go old enough to realize the decisions you made and when you was making the wrong decisions, but that's if you're fortunate. At the time you're making decisions, most people are making them based on the outcome they're going to come into contact with and how it's going to benefit them.
Right.
So with me realizing that as a youngster, I made a lot of decisions that was based on me trying to make things different. So therefore, I had to make sure my mother was there because my father was absentee. Now, all these things sound like, I've heard it before, but they are real true issues and men or young boys who go into men have to deal with when they're faced with certain circumstances. They grow up making decisions based on what their young mind is telling them is the right decision because there's no one around that's going to tell you the right thing. In the neighborhood that's low income, everybody is trying to get out and they're trying to use everybody else to do it. So nobody's really going to give you the information that you need to be successful. And it don't matter how old you are. We read and we see on the news all the time young children getting caught with machine guns, selling drugs, doing things that you'd be like, well, where the parents at? Well, they're at work. They're doing things trying to provide because it's not easy.
Right.
Everybody don't have the same reality where you got a 2-income family, and all these things have been spoken about over and over again over the years, but nobody has took the time to realize it. It's the reason why our conditions don't change. It's the reason why prisons stay open instead of closed down. It's the reason why this country, has millions of people incarcerated when every other country combined don't have millions of people incarcerated.
I was getting ready to ask you about the mass incarceration. They're saying that, within the articles and stuff like that, that there's still an issue within the justice system of overpopulating prisons. Being that you're on the inside, what does overpopulation in a prison look like?
Let me give you a description first. I came to prison over 20 years ago, and I realized that a lot of people today that I know back then, some of them don't even have legs no more because diabetes took them from them. Some of them are blind now because cataracts got them. A lot of them have died from cancer or suffering from cancer. So, and these are the people who the society feels like it's worth spending the money to keep them incarcerated when they're no longer in the position to be a threat to society. I don't want nobody to believe ever that, that people cannot be held accountable for their crimes with a certain amount of time. And that's true.
Right.
But when they fill a bump, it's called they say $33,000.
Wow.
And that's because of the 85% law.
Yeah.
And that $33,000 allows them to put any and everybody in a bump to meet the quota of keeping these prisons operating. Missouri has 12 level 5 prisons.
12? I thought it was only 2. I thought Bonterre and the one that's in Jefferson City.
No, they got Bonterre, they got Jefferson City, they got Crossroads Correctional Center, they got Lincoln, Missouri, they have Potosi, should I say? They have more level 5 prisons than any other state, and as of right now. But they have like 12 prisons that are operational, but they have 22 prisons overall.
I was about to say, there's more on this list that I was able to pull up. We got the St. Louis Correction Division, you got the Transition Center, Missouri Eastern Correction, Potosi Correctional Center, Missouri Department of Corrections, Buzz Westfall Justice Center, Jefferson City Correctional Center, RRM St. Louis, Algoa. I've heard of Algoa. St. Charles County, Northeast U.S. Prison Bureau, Farmington Correctional. Oh, I knew somebody in Farmington too. Bonterre and Southwestern, Southeast Correctional Center. They got an Alcatraz in O'Fallon?
I guess so. You see,
that's crazy.
Because it's big business.
Yeah.
You got to think everything in prison is replaced by society. So, right now, prisons manufacture their own everything to a company called MVE. Once upon a time, they would outsource the things we need from outside sources. And when the DOC seen there was a market there, they turned avenues within prison into ways to profit from the inmates. So all these things fuel the prison industrial complex.
Uh-huh.
You know, they make shoes. They sell shoes. They sell pants. They sell shirts. They sell sweaters. They sell...
Are they still making license plates? Remember, they used to have those in the movies where when you went to prison, you was like making license plates. You picking up trash.
They make filters. They make trash bags. They make furniture. They make everything because it's a revenue stream. It's free labor. If you got a bunch of people who sit around all day and you can pay them $50 a month to make you $700,000 a month worth of stuff, who wouldn't make a deal like that?
Right.
Who would make a deal where you're able to turn millions of dollars worth of product into free labor, basically? Because they was going to feed us anyway. They was already going to take care of it. And if they put a $40 on your books, is it really something that can affect them when they done made $40 million over the last year? And it's all being made by prisoners for free.
Well, I guess that's what they call slavery, huh?
It's a variation of slavery.
Yeah.
Because you have no choice. You know, they put the fences, inmates put the fences up around the prisons that we live in. Inmates make the sidewalks. They do the plumbing. They do the electrical.
Mm-hmm.
So, it serves a purpose to have prisons open. It serves a purpose for the state of Missouri to make a deal with the federal government that allows them to make $33,000 for every bunk they keep filled as long as you have 85%. And it makes it sure that you don't ever get out of prison because 85% of any number over 30 years is basically the rest of somebody's life.
So I looked up the meaning in the term a prisoner. Google says that prisoner is a person legally held in prison as a punishment for crimes that they have committed while awaiting trial. Now, I mean, we pretty much know that without having to look it up. But because you all are prisoners, why should we care that you get these, that you are in an environment that helps or rehabs the mental health or assists in being able to survive in the environment that you're in? I know that there's people out there that wouldn't want someone in unbearable situations or conditions, but at the same time, and we got prisoners in other countries, and we know that they're going through hell, and they might have it just a little bit worse than everybody else, but that's what a prisoner is. That's pretty much the concept of being a prisoner. You're going to be boxed in. So do we change the narrative of what prison can be for inmates and prisoners? I mean, they did commit a crime, so why do we want to reach out and at least give them a voice? Why would that be important?
Well, I mean, I would say that it's about maintaining your humanity. Well, and I mean that by saying that if you are okay when someone is suffering without your knowledge, but your money and the things that's written into the taxes are a cause of that suffering, and you have no knowledge of the degree in which you are aiding and assisting in people suffering, that's a loss of humanity. I would say that a person who doesn't care about his neighbor or someone who may be his neighbor one day is a person who has lost their humanity. Mm-hmm. I would say that when you was 20 years old, when you was 19 years old, when you was 23 years old, are you the same person at 50 that you was when you was 19, 20? I have never had someone tell me that they are the same person. So my question is, if you come to prison as basically a child who still have a lot of years left to learn and learn about your flaws, learn about yourself, make sense of the decisions you made and try to change those things for your own benefit, not because somebody's telling you to, because there's no rehabilitation. But when I ask them that, they all tell me, nah, I ain't nothing like I was back then. And these are people who are watching us. These are people who are guarding us. Situations where they doing their job every day. Some of them even say things like, if I was younger and I didn't have somebody pull me up, I would be in there with you. Another thing you're hearing is a person don't have no interest in prison or care about what happens in prison until they family member who they never thought was going to come to prison end up in here. Mm-hmm. Then they want to find out the ins and outs behind prison, or when they family will call them complaining about the conditions or what they're being put through, they want to find out who they need to talk to. Well, the talking needs to be taking place now, because you don't know what's in the future for anybody you know, and then it's going to change if you don't start working on the change of it now. Just because you're in prison don't mean you won't get out one day. It's a lot of people in prison who have life sentences. But there's a lot of people who get out after 20 years who, if you don't aid and assist in them getting fixed while they're in here, they might be your neighbor. They might be somebody who you got to share your mailbox with in your building. They might be somebody who you're going to see in the store and they ain't got no money. You know, and they looking for some. You gotta play an invested interest in how your community is responding to those people they put away. You can look the other way and say, well, you know, he did what he did, he got to go to jail now. But we know for a fact there's a lot of people that's in prison who have been found not guilty through DNA, but they was wrongly convicted for it. Mm-hmm. So when you stop worrying about what people go to prison for, you turn your back on the innocent people too. That means you have lost your humanity. The prayer groups, the Islamic imams, everybody coming here and they saying, I'm going to use my humanity to do this for the people who have been lost by society. Then you got the one of the society saying, I'm going to use my humanity to stay away and let the system just do its job. It's doing the job at the expense of the individuals who say they don't want these type of things that happen to people if they're in prison or if they suffering. But you don't care if you allow your dollars to be spent any kind of way without your knowledge. Right. You got to play your part. You got to be conscious of who is coming back to your society, who may be your neighbor one day.
I thought there was prison reform. And I thought prison reform came with the release of a prisoner or an inmate, and they give them a designated counselor. They give them, you know, the necessary resources to rehab themselves and get back into the workforce, the work life, and all of that. Tom Lane here. If you like this video, feel free to subscribe to this channel. Also, slap on that notification bell so that way you are the first to know when I post new content. Thumbs up your favorite and pass on the word.